Welcome back to Scholar's Key. If you look through our channel, you'll see we spend a lot of time chasing ghosts, civilizations that vanished overnight, libraries that burned to ash, empires lost to the jungle. We usually have to piece together clues to find out where they went. But today's story is different. We know exactly where this lost world is. We have been standing on top of it for 50 years. It is perhaps the greatest archaeological treasure on Earth, a time capsule sealed over 2,000 years ago. So why haven't we opened it? Because the ancients didn't just bury their emperor, they built a lethal machine to protect him. Today, we are going to virtually crack open the tomb of the first emperor of China and face what's waiting inside. The air inside is sealed, stagnant for 22 centuries. Total darkness presses against walls lined with peculiar, non-reflective obsidian. On the floor, a synthetic topography glimmers darkly. Miniature mountains sculpted from bronze, surrounded by liquid valleys that should be dry dust by now, but instead ripple with a heavy silvery sheen. The silence is absolute, broken only by the faint metallic tension of ancient crossbow triggers, still wound tight, waiting for a footstep that hasn't come in 2 millennia. It is not a tomb designed for rest, it is a subterranean bunker designed for eternal rule. Is this the ultimate monument to human ego, or a prison built to keep something terribly powerful from escaping? Before we understand the tomb, we must understand the paranoia that built it. Qin Shi Huang unified China in blood and fire, but the one enemy he couldn't defeat was his own mortality. He became obsessed with the elixir of life, sending fleets of ships carrying thousands of virgins into the eastern seas to find legendary immortals, fleets that never returned. When local farmers digging a well in 1974 struck something hard, they didn't find water, they looked into the eyes of a soldier who had been waiting for them. We all know the Terracotta Warriors, but photos don't convey the unsettling reality of standing in those pits. 8,000 life-sized statues, and no two faces are exactly alike. Some historians believe they are exact portraits of the living men who served the emperor, frozen in clay forever. For centuries, local legends in Xi'an warned that disturbing the mound would bring catastrophe. These weren't just ghost stories, they were echoes of the only historical record we have of the tomb's interior, written by the historian Sima Qian a century after the emperor's death. He described a place of palaces and scenic towers for 100 officials, packed with rare artifacts and wonderful treasure. But he also included a warning that modern archaeologists dismissed as myth until the soil tests came back. We often underestimate the sheer, brutal scale of ancient engineering when driven by absolute power. The tomb complex isn't just a room, it is a sprawling necropolis covering nearly 22 square miles. It took an estimated 700,000 conscripted laborers, more people than the current population of Washington, D.C., over 38 years to construct it. Many were worked to death and buried within the walls, but the most staggering number is invisible. Modern ground-penetrating radar and soil samples have detected mercury levels nearly 280 times higher than the surrounding natural bedrock, seemingly confirming the ancient text's wildest claim. Sima Qian wrote that the emperor was buried surrounded by rivers and seas simulated with flowing mercury, pumped mechanically for eternity. It sounds impossible, Yet those soil samples suggest that beneath the central mound lies an estimated 100 tons of liquid metal. It is a toxic moat designed to poison grave robbers before they even breach the inner sanctum. The sheer effort to create unique faces for 8,000 clay soldiers has led to persistent fringe theories. Some ancient Chinese mystic traditions held that by creating an exact effigy, you could trap a portion of the person's soul, or hun, to serve in the afterlife, creating a literal ghost army. However, historians argue the realism wasn't magical, but political. It was the ultimate flex of resources. The emperor wasn't trapping souls. He was simply so rich and powerful that he could afford to recreate his entire court in clay, just so he wouldn't be lonely. The Mercury is a passive defense, but the tomb also supposedly contains active countermeasures. Ancient texts describe mechanical crossbows rigged to shoot anyone who enters. While wood rots and strings snap over 2,000 years, bronze triggers do not corrode easily in an airtight environment. It is entirely possible that the tension mechanisms are still functional, waiting for a change in air pressure to fire. With all our modern technology, why haven't we sent in a robot? The Chinese government has firmly stopped any excavation of the central chamber, not just out of fear of traps, but out of fear of ourselves. When the Terracotta Warriors were first unearthed, their vibrant paint curled up and disintegrated within minutes of being exposed to the modern air. We currently have no way to stop the rapid decay that would occur if we cracked the main seal. The tomb of Qin Shi Huang sits at the perfect intersection of historical grandeur and terrifying mystery. It is a place where the historical records, which sounded like impossible myths, have been proven right by science. We know what is likely down there: a jade shroud, rivers of poison, and a map of the stars on the ceiling made of pearls. But knowing and seeing are two different things. Some doors in history are locked for a reason. Does humanity have the right to uncover every secret, or are some things best left in the dark, guarded by their silent, toxic rivers?